Let's start our discussion with problem 16-9. In problem 16-9, the question is the NCI in the comprehensive income or loss of the subsidiary. Stated differently, class, you're asked for the share of the NCI in the income or loss of the subsidiary. And here, all you need to do, class, is to multiply the NCI percentage or the non-controlling interest with the adjusted income of the subsidiary. In the previous problems, we had to compute for the consolidated income, wherein we will need the income of the parent from its own operations and the adjusted income of the subsidiary. Here, we can focus entirely on the adjusted income of the subsidiary because the question simply asks for the share of the NCI in the income of the subsidiary. Okay, but one thing that's important to remember, class, is that it will always be based on the adjusted income, class. Okay, so what is given here is the balance sheet of, whose balance sheet is this? Sun, who is our subsidiary. We're given with both the balance sheet and the income statement or the statement of comprehensive income. Okay, we have here sales, cost of goods sold, operating expenses, and comprehensive income of 200,000. Now, we mentioned that if we have intercompany transactions, class, if we have intercompany sale of inventories, it's now possible for the income of the parent and to have adjustments as well. Okay? But regardless of whose income needs to be adjusted, class, the most important thing I want you to remember is that for this topic, we will have at most two kinds of adjustment, class. The first adjustment would be the markup on the beginning, and the second adjustment would be the markup on the ending. The markup on beginning would be a positive adjustment, meaning it will be added to the income, while the markup on the ending would be a negative adjustment, which would be deducted to the income. And I hope you've watched the other recorded discussion class, wherein I explained the justification on the adjustment, class. Once you understand that one, for me, it's now enough that you just remember what to do. But again, if you have a markup on beginning, add. If you have a markup on ending, then deduct. And as to whose income will be adjusted, class, it will be determined by who is the sender, class, or who is the seller, or from whom the transaction or shipment originated from. Now, in this problem, what do we have? Definitely, it should be upstream. Otherwise, this problem would not be worth our time, class. Because again, we need the adjusted income of the subsidiary. So if it's not upstream, then we will not have adjustments from the intercompany transaction. Okay? But one thing that makes this problem different from the other problems, class, is that this would be the first problem in this multiple choice problems, class, wherein aside from the markup and aside from the adjustments from intercompany sale of inventories, class, we will also have adjustments from the amortization of your excess. So this would be the first problem we will be encountering, wherein we will be joining now the adjustments in the previous chapter and the adjustments brought about by intercompany sale of inventories that are introduced in this chapter. Okay, but of course, we should begin with the income of the subsidiary. How much is the income reported by the subsidiary? It is 200,000. Okay? In the previous chapter, what was the source of the adjustment, class? It is the amortization of the excess. And we have already explained that before. Why will there be a need to adjust the income of the subsidiary in case there is an excess? And the brief explanation is that the consolidated entity does not agree with the reported expenses by the subsidiary. In the eyes of the consolidated entity, the expenses and by extension, the net income of the subsidiary is misstated. Now let's check how much excess we have in this problem. On January 1, 2017, Post Corporation acquired 60% of the outstanding common stock of Sun Company at an excess of cost over book value of 1 million. Okay, which one is greater? The book value acquired 60% at an excess of cost over book value of 1 million. This excess was allocated to plant assets with a remaining useful life of 5 years. So meaning there's no goodwill here because all the excess is attributable to a specific asset class. This excess was allocated to plant assets with a remaining useful life of 5 years. And although we have already explained the reason behind this one, the easiest way to solve for the amortization of the excess, which will be our adjustment class, is just to get the straight line amortization. How much is the excess? 1 million. Over how many years is it good for? 5. So 1 million divided by 5 will give you 200,000. Okay? And since this is an overstatement of the fair value over the book value class, this would mean that the depreciation expense reported by the subsidiary is understated in the eyes of the consolidated entity. So if in the eyes of the consolidated entity, the expenses of the subsidiary is understated, that would mean in the eyes of the consolidated entity, the net income of the subsidiary is overstated. And to correct that overstatement, our adjustment would be a deduction. We have already determined the amortization of the excess. We have already determined the adjustment of 200,000. What we're trying to explain lang is whether these 200,000 will be added or deducted. In this case, it would be deducted. In most problems class, it would be deducted. But again, it's important for you to know that it's possible that the adjustment here for the amortization of the difference between the book value and the fair value can be a positive adjustment. And that will happen if the book value is lesser than the book value is greater than the fair value. But again, that is not common in the problems. So how much again was the income of the subsidiary class? 200. And then we have our adjustment due to the understatement of the depreciation expense or from the amortization of the excess of 200. So it will now be 0. That is why the problem is open to the possibility that it will be a loss. Okay? So 200 minus 200, we are currently at 0. Now, moving on to the adjustments from the intercompany sale of inventories. Again, what are the two possible adjustments arising from this transaction? Markup on beginning and markup on ending. The markup on beginning would be added. The markup on ending would be added. What does the problem say? Sun regularly sells merchandise to Post at a gross profit of 25% above cost. Because be careful, the markup rate given is based on cost. In 2016 and 2017, sales from Sun to Post are as follows. Okay, so what we really need is just the ending and beginning inventory. Because what we're given is the December 31 inventory. But what I need is the beginning inventory. Is there any way for me to determine the beginning inventory in 2017? Yes, because the ending in 2016 will be the beginning in 2017. So basically the 120, so please do not be misled, class. The 120,000 there, can you see the 120,000? The 120,000 there is not, it is the December 31 balance, but the relevance of that amount is that it will also be the January 1 balance in 2017. So what do we do with the beginning inventory? Add or deduct? Neither, because what we will add is the markup, not the beginning inventory. So not the 120 class. Okay, what do we do with the 120? Get the markup. How much is, because I'm trying to emphasize class that what we need is the markup and not the inventory amount itself. So what do? We already have the 120. Get the markup on this 120. So do we multiply 120 by 25%? I'm suddenly curious, class, if it will lead us to the answer if you commit that mistake. I will just go back to it. Let's just answer it correctly first. So 120, do we multiply it by 25%? No, what we do first is divide it by 125%. How much is 125% of 120? 100? 96. Is the 96 the markup, class? No, the 96 is the cost. How do we use the 96 to arrive at what we are looking for? Deduct it from 120 or multiply it by 25%. Okay? If you multiply 96,000 by 25%, you should get how much? 24. If you deduct 96 from 120, you should also get 24. So what is this 24? This is now the markup on the beginning. And what do we do with this 24? Add or deduct? Add. So you will add the 24,000. Okay. Next, what's the other possible adjustment from intercompany sale of inventory, class? Deduct the markup on ending. What ending? Ending in 2017. How much is the ending inventory? How much of our ending inventory? How much of the ending inventory of the parent came from the subsidiary? 360. And then, what do we do with the 360? Do we deduct it from the income of the subsidiary? No, because what we need is not the 360, but the markup on the 360. What do we do with the 360? Do we multiply it by 25%? No. You divide it by 125% first, and that will give you how much? 288. Is the 288 the markup, class? No, that's the cost. So what do we do to get the markup? Deduct it from 360 or multiply it by 25%. 360 times 25% or 360 minus 288 will give you 72,000. And what is the 72,000? This is now the markup on your ending inventory. What do we do with the 72,000? Deduct it from the income of the subsidiary. So far, what do we have? 200 minus 200 plus 24 minus 72. How much will that give you? So we have a loss of 48,000. Okay? But what we are looking for is the share of the NCI. How much is the non-controlling interest percentage-wise? 40%. Where did we get the 40%? That's the residual interest after you remove the controlling interest of 60. Okay, so 40% multiplied by 48,000. How much will that give you? 19,200. Okay, now let's go back, class. What if we computed the markup on beginning and ending wrong? 120 times 25%, 30,000. And then 360 times 25%, that's 90. So please help me here. 200 minus 200, and then plus 24 minus 90, that's 66. It's not in the choices. Anyways, I hope you will not commit that mistake. So again, the answer here is loss of 19,200. Okay, let's proceed to problem 16-10. How many problems do we have? 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16, 24, 12, 6. (16-10). What's the question? Considered income attributable to the parent. And then what do we need? What do we need to solve for the income attributable to the parent? We need our consolidated income first. If you already have your consolidated income, what do you do to arrive at the consolidated income attributable to the parent class? Just deduct the share of the, no, not the share of the subsidiary, share of the NCI. Share in what? Share of the NCI in the adjusted income of the subsidiary. Again, what is being asked here is the consolidated income attributable to the parent. Our procedure here is to first solve for the consolidated income and then deduct the share of the NCI in the income attributable to the, in the adjusted income of the subsidiary. Okay, but first we need the consolidated income. And again, what are the two things you need to solve for your consolidated income? First is the income of the parent from its own operations, and second is the adjusted income of the subsidiary. Okay, but class, even if we call them like that, class, please remember that even the income of the parent can now have an adjustment. Again, from chapter 14 and 15, from chapter 15 lang. From chapter 15, we have established that the two things we need to solve for consolidated income are income of the parent from its own operations and the adjusted income of the subsidiary. But please do not make the wrong conclusion that there will be no adjustments to the income of the parent. Okay, but again, there will be an adjustment to the income of the parent only if there is a transaction originating from the parent or if there is a downstream transaction. What do we have in this problem? Peat Company on this day said in 2016, seat and sales and cost of sales, 1/2 of the sales were to Peat. So in 2016, the transaction was from subsidiary to parent. What happened in 2017? Peat's inventory contained 40,000 of seats. Merchandise purchased in 2016. Peat's December inventory included 25,000. Both companies use first in, first out. Okay, so there's no downstream class. Do you follow? What we only have is upstream, from subsidiary to parent. So we will not have any adjustment to the income of the parent first. And again, going back, what's the first thing we need to solve for consolidated income? Income of the parent from its own operations. And do we have that given in the problem, class? Yes, in the amount of 200,000. What's the second thing we need? The adjusted income of the subsidiary. Okay, to arrive at the adjusted income of the subsidiary, we need the income reported by the subsidiary first. And how much is that, class? 75,000. Okay? Just to be sure, class, you check, do we have any excess to amortize in this problem? Go back to the very beginning. Peat Company purchased 90% of SIT for 400,000. On that day, SIT Company's equity consisted of 100,000 of capital stock and 300,000 of retained earnings. Assets and liabilities were fairly valued. So in this case, class, there will be no difference between the fair value and the book value, meaning there will be no excess to amortize. So that means the only adjustment that will happen here, class, would be the adjustment from your intercompany sale of inventories. And again, what are the two possible adjustments arising from intercompany sale of inventories? The markup on beginning and the markup on ending. So, where's the beginning inventory of the parent? At January 1, parent's inventory contained 40,000 of subsidiaries merchandise purchased in 2016. Okay, so we have inventory 40,000. What do we do with the markup on the beginning, class? Add or deduct? Add. So do we add the 40,000? No, because the 40,000 is not the markup. The 40,000 is the value of the inventory that came from the subsidiary. So what do we do? Get the markup on this 40,000. And what else do we need? If you already have the 40, we just need the markup rate or the gross profit rate. Where do we get that one, class? By comparing the sales and the cost, correct? But here, it's important for you to have the initiative, class, to think that the markup rate that you will use should be the information coming from 2016. 16. Okay, if it is on hand in at the start of 2017, that means it is a transaction. It came from a transaction that happened in 2016. So, how much was the sales, intercompany sale in 2016? 500,000. How much was the cost of that intercompany sale? 300,000. So that means the markup on the intercompany sale in 2016 was 200,000. Do we have everything we need to solve for the gross profit rate? Yes. The total markup or gross profit of 200 divided by the price of 500. So 200 divided by 500 will give you a gross profit rate of 40%. And it is this 40% that we will multiply with 40,000 to get what? The markup on beginning, which will be how much? 16,000. Okay. Next. What is the 16 class? Plus or minus? Plus. Now, what's the other possible adjustment from intercompany sale of inventories? Deduct markup on ending. Do we have our ending inventory of goods coming from the subsidiary? Yes. How much? Do we deduct the 25? What we will deduct is the markup on the 25,000. How much is the markup on the 25,000? The problem is we are not given with the intercompany sales information in 2017. What markup rate are we going to use in 2017? Are we going to use the same as last year, class? In this problem, yes. But is that always the case? No. But why is it in this problem we will also be using 40%? What did the problem say? Last sentence of the second paragraph. SIT's pricing policy has not changed for several years. So what do I want you to take away from this example, class? Please do not assume that the gross profit rate in 1 year will also be the gross profit rate in the other. Okay, it just so happens in this problem, it will be 40% because the problem has explicitly told us that the pricing policy has not changed. If ever you're given with the information for the intercompany sales in 2017, make a separate determination of the applicable gross profit rate in that year, class. Do not assume it will just be the same. I hope I have made myself clear. So we have everything we need. 25,000 times 40% will give you how much? 10,000. And this 10,000 is the markup on ending. Again, the markup on beginning is added because it is already considered, realized, or earned this year. But it is not included by the subsidiary. The markup on ending is deducted because it is not yet considered earned, but it is already included by the subsidiary. So far, we have 75,000 profit of the subsidiary as reported, and then add markup on beginning of 16, and then deduct markup on ending of 10,000. Will give you how much? 75 plus 16, that's 91 minus 10, that's 81. Okay, we already have the income of the parent from its own operations of 200. Then add what? Adjusted income of the subsidiary in the amount of 81,000. 200 plus 81 would give you 281,000. Why is that not in the choices? Because what is being asked is not the consolidated income, but the consolidated income attributable to the parent. So what else do we lack from the 281? What else do we have to do? Deduct the share of the NCI in the adjusted income of the subsidiary. So, how much is the NCI here? 10%. Okay, because the controlling interest is 90. So, to what do we multiply the 10%? 81. Because I hope you appreciate the importance of getting the adjusted income correctly. Because again, that would be the basis of the share of the NCI. If you get the share of the NCI wrong, then the income attributable to the parent will also be wrong. And you will get the share of the NCI wrong if your adjusted income is wrong. So how much is the share of the NCI? 10% of 81,000. How much is that? 8,100. So deduct that from 281. How much is 281 minus 8,100? 272,900. Proceed to 16-11. What's the question in 16-11? Cost of sales and the consolidated comprehensive income. I've already given the formula for consolidated cost of sales class. It's the cost of sales of the parent plus the cost of sales of the subsidiary minus the intercompany sales, and then the markup on beginning and the markup on ending. But please understand that the adjustments here for the markup on beginning and markup on ending would be opposite class. Okay? They will behave differently for your income class. Again, what were the adjustments to the income? That's what were the adjustments to the income arising from intercompany sale of inventories? You add the markup on beginning and then you deduct the markup on ending, because the markup on beginning is already earned. It is already earned but was not included. The markup on ending is not yet earned but already included. And understand, class, that the behavior of your cost of sales and your net income is opposite. If you recall, if cost of sales is overstated, then that means net income is understated. If cost of sales is understated, that means net income is overstated. Okay? So we can now proceed. First, cost of sales of the parent given. Yes, 600,000. Next, cost of sales of the subsidiary given. Yes, 280,000. And then there, the first one I want you to deduct is the intercompany sale class. Okay. Given other relevant data, intercompany sales during 2017 is 200,000. So we will deduct the 200,000. Okay. The reason we remove that class, it's because the purchase by the, who made the purchase here? Is this upstream or downstream? What did the problem say? Were made by Sir to Pig. So this is upstream. Okay. The transfer from the subsidiary to the parent is not considered a sale in the eyes of the consolidated entity. So the inclusion of that amount in the amounts reported by either the parent or the subsidiary is considered a misreporting in the eyes of the consolidated entity. Okay, if we will not remove the 200, there will be a double recognition of the sale of these merchandise. So deduct the 200. Next, the markup on the beginning. The problem is we're given with the beginning and ending inventory, but we need to solve for the gross profit rate. Okay, where can we find whose gross profit rate do we need to determine, class? The parent or the subsidiary? Subsidiary, because the subsidiary is the seller. How do we solve for the gross profit rate? The amounts there are looking at you, class. Gross profit of 120 and the selling price of 400. So the applicable gross profit rate here is 120 divided by 400, which is 30%. Okay, but if you'll notice, class, this information is for 2017. So can we use the 30% to get the markup in the 70,000 class, knowing that this is the January 1? And again, what have we established? If it's January 1 class, when did that sale happen as regards those inventory class? It happened in 2016. But the 30% we have here is based on the sales information in 2017. The question now is, can we use the 30% to get the markup on the 70,000 class? Yes or no? Yes. Why? Because that's always the case. No, because what does the problem say? On the next page, class. Both Pig and Sir have experienced very stable gross profit rates. So in this case, we can still use the 30%. So how much is the markup in the 70,000 class? 30% of 70, that will give you 21. Okay, here normally markup on beginning is added, but for your cost of sales, it would be deducted. Okay. Why are we deducting this one, class? Okay. This would result in double recognition of this cost of sale. Okay, the amount reported by the parent as part of its cost of sales is overstated. Okay. So minus 21. What's next? Markup on ending. We already have the ending of 60. We know that we'll be using 30%. So the 30% of 60,000 will be 18,000. Normally, markup on ending would be deducted, but for your cost of sales, it will be added. Please don't get confused, class. Okay, so 600 cost of sales of parent plus 280 cost of sales of the subsidiary minus intercompany sale of 200 minus markup on beginning of 21,000 plus markup on ending of 18. This will be how much? 677,000. Is that in the choices? Yes. Okay, so our answer will either be Alpha or Bravo. How much is the NCI here? 10%. So even just by looking at the choices, class, I'd guess the answer is letter B. Is it letter B? Yes. I'm guessing that the difference between 280 and 274 would be the share of the NCI. Let's check. But what is being asked here? The consolidated income attributable to the parent. So that means the amount that we will look for is the amount after deducting the share of the NCI. Okay, first, get the consolidated income. And again, what are the two things you need to solve for consolidated income? Income of the parent from its own operations and adjusted income of the subsidiary. Class, if you're not fed up with those two things, class, I don't know na lang yun, class. It's always those two things. Okay, how much is the income of the parent from its own operations? That would be 200,000. Will we have adjustments to the income of the parent? No, because we do not have any downstream transaction. Okay, what we have here is upstream. So we have 200. What else do we need? The adjusted income of the subsidiary. Let's check. Do we have any excess, class? Because I don't want you to grow accustomed to problems wherein you will not check whether or not there is an excess, class. 90% at book value. Okay, so since it was acquired at book value, no excess. There will be no difference between the fair value and book value. Okay, so the only adjustments here will come from the Markup on beginning and markup on ending. How much is the income of the subsidiary? 80. Have we already computed the markup on beginning? Yes, it was 21. This time it will be added. Next, deduct the markup on ending. 18,000. So 80 plus 21 minus 18 will give you 101, 83,000. So you add 83 with, is it 200? 200 plus 83 is 283,000. So there should be no reason for you to answer to 80 there. I see now. Where did the choice get the 280 class? You just add the 280. Imagine the problem thinks that you will commit that kind of mistake class. That is the only thing that you would do. You were asked for consolidated income, and what did you do? You just add the bottom line of the parent and you just added it with the bottom line of the subsidiary. I don't know na lang yun if you will answer 280 class. We can still forgive if you will answer 283. There's really no reason for you to answer 280 plus. Okay? But again, the answer is not 283 because what we are looking for is the income attributable to the parent. So what do we do? Deduct the share of the NCI. How do we get the share of the NCI? Multiply the NCI percentage with the adjusted income of the subsidiary. How much is the NCI percentage class? 10%. Multiply it with 83,000. The NCI share in the income of the subsidiary is 8,300. 8,300. Deduct 8,300 from 283. You would have 274,700. So the answer here is bravo. Plus, maybe this will come out in our next exam, but we will have multiple questions. The first question would be, how much would be your consolidated sales? And again, what's our formula for consolidated sales? This would be the question that is not forgivable to get wrong, class. Okay, it's very easy, class. How do we solve for consolidated sales? Sales of the parent plus sales of the subsidiary minus intercompany sales. How much is the sales of the parent? How much is the sales of the parent? 1,200,000. Sales of the subsidiary, 400. How much is the intercompany sale? 400,000. And then deduct what? Intercompany sale. Are we given with that information, class? How much? 200. So 1,200,000. Prepare an income statement, class. Beside the subsidiary, 1,200,000 plus 400 minus 200 will give you 1,400,000. And then we have already computed for the consolidated cost of sales. How much? 677. So 1,400,000 minus 677 would be your consolidated gross profit. How much is 1,400,000 plus, minus 677? 723. That would be your consolidated gross profit. Next, consolidated operating expenses. If this is asked, this is given as a bonus question, which you will still have to answer. But it's a bonus question because normally there is nothing to remember. You just combine the two. Consolidated operating expenses, 400 plus 40. So the consolidated operating expenses would be 440. How much was the consolidated gross profit, class? 723. Now 723 minus 440, class. 283. Is that familiar, class? Yes, that's the amount we computed as your consolidated income. Okay.